Login accepted.
All right. Okay, who here has competed in PvP this past weekend? All right, that's like 2 people. All right, awesome. So, I know this is a little bit early. However, we are proud to announce our CyberStrike RVB competition coming up on March 22nd of this year. We are doing this in collaboration with the Los Angeles chapter of ISACA this year, so please stay tuned a little bit for that. But as usual, this is our RVB competition, Red versus Blue. It'll be a live adversary competition where you will be fighting as Blue team against our in-house Red team. We are making this competition for teams of up to 4 competitors, between 1 and 4. If you guys would like to sign up, signups are now open. Technically, they've been open since last night, but potato, potato. We have a special bonus this year. Winners of the CyberStrike competition have the potential to speak at an ISACA panel. There is a condition to this. If you would like to have the opportunity for that, we do request that you sign up to be placed in a random team. But if you still wish to compete with the team of other people that you already know, there's still the option to do that. It's just that the ISACA thing doesn't really become an option anymore. If you have any questions regarding this, please feel free to tag me in the Swift server or just send me a DM. I'm probably going to be awake until about 1 a.m. So yeah, sign up is right there or on our link tree at linktree/CalPolySwift. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Okay, Tech Symposium is also coming up on April 12th. If you haven't already, sign up so we can get like a good head count of everyone coming so we can have like food and everything. We already have, I want to say like 6 or 7 speakers confirmed. So if you join the Discord that's linked on the QR code, we'll slowly start releasing our speakers and what topics we'll have. It's at Mount Sac, so you have to drive, but we'll try to get parking passes for you guys so you don't have to pay for parking. Yeah, what I was talking about earlier, the Tech Squid Games happening on Friday. This Friday from 10 to 4 at Ursa Major, so over at the BSC. There's gonna be free food. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's everything. Okay, Data Science and AI Club Datathon, if you want to do it, Friday, March 7th from 10 to 5 at Ursa Minor. AI Hackathon's coming up. Last day to register is March 14th. Challenges released on the 21st, and then the challenges are due on the 23rd. Yeah, if you want to do the AI fair, here it is, hackathon. Oh yeah, ITC is coming up on April 26th from 8 to 4 p.m. So get a team, sign up for ITC. It's so funny. Yes. Very fun. I feel like I'm not explaining these well. It's all on the slides, you can read it. Okay, and then lastly, apply to eBoard. We're officially opening our eBoard applications. It's open now until March 21st, and we're gonna be taking interviews on a rolling basis. So just apply as soon as you can so we can start meeting you guys and integrating you into eBoard. Yeah, that is all. Oh. There's also a description of like all the eBoard positions on the application. It's like a link to a Notion. And I just updated it like 2 seconds ago, so it should be good to go. Okay.
Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about web app vulnerabilities and pen testing in general. My name is Ryan Gonzalo. I'm a 3rd-year CS major. I've been a part of this club for 2 years.
My name is Rebecca. I'm a Switzerland, and I'm a 3rd-year CIS.
Hi, my name is Jessica, and I'm literally just like a really active member, not even part of eBoard or anything. And it's 3rd-year CIS major.
So first, we're going to be laying the groundwork and We're gonna talk about common attacks, and then lastly, some resources that we want you to follow up.
All right, first, lay the groundwork. So what is a web application? It's literally just an interactive web page, and there are applications that are running on the web servers themselves. What is a request and response? So first and foremost, client send request, right? They open the web app and then they send an HTTPS request. And then afterwards, there's a client-side processing where the browser processes the request that the client sent, and then they send these data to a server. And then the server, and then there's the server-side processing in which the server receives the request. And then lastly, the server sends a response. They, send response code and response data based on what you literally just done. All right, a little quick brief SQL intro. So what exactly is SQL? SQL is a domain standard language for managing and manipulating databases. It allows the users to interact with databases, including retrieving, updating, inserting, and deleting data. And some of its common uses are querying the data, which is literally just like requesting information from data. You can also modify them. And then you can also define the database structures along with controlling access to the data itself.
I guess just a quick point with respect to SQL. So just to keep in mind, guys, SQL is typically going to be like the backend for whatever web application that you're using. So if you're trying to attack some kind of infrastructure, whatever it may be, you might see SQL being used to hold information for users and whatnot. So their passwords probably going to be hashed, but like on the SQL database and also the username, all their information, all that stuff.
So yeah, if you did the NCAA tryout and or the CyberForce tryout and are to set up a MySQL server, you have experience with SQL already. So congratulations. And a quick SQL guide is that there are 3 categories. Well, there's more, but let's introduce you with 3 first. There's data query language, data definition language, and data manipulation language. When I did some research on the data query language, interestingly, I only see select. That's like the only thing there. So select just retrieves data, you select the data, and then it just retrieves it for you. And then there's the data definition language, which defines and manages the database structure itself. So some of the common commands would be create, alter, drop, and show. And then there's also data manipulation language, where it modifies the data. You can do whatever you want with it. You can insert something, update it, and or delete a part of the data or the whole entire thing. Depends on what you're doing.
So I'm just gonna be talking about the web app testing roadmap or the methodology behind it. So first, we're gonna start off with enumeration or the act of looking around. So when you browse a target web application in the lens of a security expert, you really want to take note about some of the key points such as the user input fields, tech stack, or what the back end of the web application is running on, such as Nginx, Apache 2, Flask, custom PHP. You need to know if there's a database attached to it, what the version number is, and more. And the key is to know what you're dealing with is to have a list of prerequisites for that vulnerability. And I'll explain more about that later. But an example of this would be SQL injection. If there's no database involved, then there's no SQL injection involved. The same goes for a PHP reverse shell. If there's no PHP utilization for that application, then a PHP reverse shell would not work. So the second step is to triage or sift through the important relevant information from the useless, non-relevant information. Basically, the data that you have. So some questions that you really want to ask yourself is what seems interesting? What may lead to some vulnerability worth reporting? And by answering these questions, you can gain a deeper understanding of what you want to penetrate or what kind of web vulnerabilities are out there. But generally speaking, any form of user input is of interest as the backend needs to process something and give you some kind of output. So the third one would be tests. That one is kind of self-explanatory. So after you decided on a route that you want to take, you really want to do some research on the attack and perform it against the web application itself. So now I'll be talking about some common attacks, with the first one being SQL injection and then the second one being cross-site scripting. So what is SQL injection? SQL injection is a web security vulnerability that allows the attacker to manipulate data with malicious queries. This allows the attacker to have unauthorized access to the data and do as they please with that data. And this sensitive data can include usernames and passwords. So if we look on the right with the select name description from products where category equals gifts, that's the original SQL query. So what it's basically doing is selecting the name and descriptions from the product table, and then it further filters it to the category where the value equals gifts. However, the payload that the attacker attaches to it, which is the union select username passwords from users, also grabs the usernames and passwords from the table of users. And this allows the attacker to gain access and look at all the passwords and usernames. And as for the dash dash, it basically ignores everything that comes after that SQL query. So now it's time for a port tucker lab. Yay. Woo. Thank you. Okay, so this is a shopping website, and as you can see here, there are the products on the left, such as snow delivered to your door, high-end gift wrapping, couples, umbrella, conversation controlling lemon. And on the right of it would be the prices as well as more further information about it. And then on above it would be all the categories like gifts, lifestyle, pets, tech gifts, toys, and things. So now we're going to be using a tool called Burp Suite. And Burp Suite is basically a tool for web application. It's your Swiss Army knife. And this Burp Suite sits between the user's browsers and the web application, and it monitors the traffic between those two. And it passively detects vulnerabilities and allows users to modify HTTP requests and detect anomalies. As we can see here with the check mark on params, it just basically means that it has a parameter. And a parameter is where you can interact with the website, and in this case, it's a shopping website, and many more. And from the lens of attacker, you can use this to perhaps do a SQL injection. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is send it to a repeater. So what you can do is Control R or right click and click send to repeater. And basically what the repeater does is that you can send a request to a server, and if you want to make adjustments to it, you make it on the request and then you send it and you get a response. Repeater is where it repeats. So if you, I can explain more. So basically for the request side, if you wanted like your payloads, you can change it on there, and then you can send it. And then on the response side, you can see if there's anything interesting that perhaps could say that this site or could be injectable with some kind of injection. Want further explanation? Mom? So now on to the SQL injection part. So as you can see here, there's the union plus select plus null dash dash. And what a null is basically a placeholder for a value. And in this case, we're trying to find the number of columns that the SQL database has, as this is a blind injection. And with the plus sign, you can think of it as like a space for the URL. And then for the response, we can see that there's a 500 internal server error, which means that there's not just one column. So why not just add another null statement? So this is what we did here. We added another null statement, and still it's giving us a internal server error. So let's add a third one. Let's see what happens. Okay, we added a third one, so it went through with the HTTP 200 OK. Okay, as you can see here. Oh,
What do the pluses and dashes do in the SQL query?
the dashes
And the pluses and dashes?
plus is like an ad, but you put it on the website. So basically there's the website and then you add the payload, you append the payload to it. And for the dash dash, it just ignores what comes after the statement.
Interesting. Okay.
Want to clarify it because I know you know more than me.
So the pluses are URL encoding for spaces. So in actual SQL query, you're going to have union space, select space, whatever. The pluses just for like URL like coding stuff to simplify that everything is one string. You put pluses instead of spaces because URLs can't typically understand what spaces are. That's why the pluses that are like simple to stuff.
What is the dash dash?
Dash dash comes out the rest of the SQL query so that let's say that there was a parameter that would the SQL query was like from products where this equals this. Let's say there was more to the SQL query, you would comment out the rest of the SQL query so that only yours is being processed.
That was a very good explanation. So now we're gonna do another SQL lab. So this one does not from the previous lab. So what we're gonna do here is wait, actually, no, this is the same lab. Okay. So right now we're gonna try to do something silly with it. So we're gonna add an LMAO statement to replace the second null. And then as you can see, it's 200 OK, so it still went through. And as you can see, there's the top part where it says LMAO, but if you look down at the bottom, the LMAO is basically listed as a product. So if you see giant grasshopper, it's under it. And now this is the second part. So now let's try to extract some users' names and passwords. So what we're gonna do here is union select username password from the users table. So from the users table, we're trying to find usernames and passwords. And as it can see from the response, it says 200 OK, meaning that it went through and it got through. And this is basically the website. And as you can see here, there are 3 usernames and 3 passwords that we can use. But the one that I'm looking at right now is administrator, because this usually means that it's a privileged account. And now Ryan's gonna explain about cross-site scripting.
Hello, everybody. So today, C just finished covering SQL injection. We're going to quickly go over cross-site scripting, and we should have some time left over. So maybe I might do a little live demonstration of a SQL injection, but we'll see. So first, let's start off with the 3 types of cross-site scripting. So first, we have our stored cross-site scripting. All of these, of course, involve like putting in scripts inside the website and using it to do what you want to do to attack the website. So first we have stored cross-site scripting, which is where you use your scripts to permanently have them within the website server. Then we have reflected cross-site scripting, which is where you have scripts reflected off of web apps and have them execute immediately. And then we have DOM-based cross-site scripting, which is where you manipulate the DOM or document object model to execute the scripts. So this is another Portswigger lab, and this time we're going to the website. So here we're going to search for, we're going to query for Swift. See that our no results. So we checked we do an inspect element, and we do see that we have our query for Swift, which again has 0 results. But when we inject a script to create an alert, as you can see here, this is the website we like to blog. Oh, it responds with code 1, and it says the cabinet, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, we can clearly use elements of the website, in this case, the search bar, to inject our own malicious script. In this case, it's just a simple like alert to the user. But if you were a bad actor, you could maybe have a more complex script injected into the website to do something a little bit more interesting. But yeah, that's, sorry.
I had a script written down as a file, would I have to like just paste all the code into that bar?
Sorry, say that one more time.
If I had a script written down, right, do I have to put all the code in that script in that search bar for it to execute?
I think you could. I'm speculating mostly here, but for the most part, most likely not. I imagine you use your Swift RV tools like ForceWigger and whatnot. There are some other tools, I'm sure, if you look online to inject the script for you without having to actually put it on the search bar for you. But yeah. But
Yes.
So you showed like an alert for the cross-site scripting. But like, since it's an attack, like what does it typically target? Or like what's the like the malicious cross-site script?
Well, there are 3 different kinds, which we want to know about.
I mean, I think they typically target the same.
I don't know which one, but there's usually you can email it, and the attacker can like have the payload in that URL, and you copy it. It takes you to the compromised web application. And they could also, I read somewhere where cross-site scripting could happen on like under the comments of a website. Yeah.
Is there like something that allows an attacker to gain access to like a user account?
Yeah. So we're on Ryan.
Yeah, so one of the malicious attempt would be stealing cookies. So if you don't know, cookies are kind of your session on the website. So with cookies, let's say you already logged into your account on your website. If someone steals your cookie and pastes it into their own cookie like area on your website, they can impersonate you because they have your session token, which means that they can just be you.
I'll derail a little bit. I'm gonna see if I can demonstrate. So there is this website. You guys probably heard of it. It's called OWASP. Very cool website. It kind of just everything about web pen testing and other security fields and whatnot. But they got this cool little website. It's called Juice Shop. It's like my favorite place to get like juice. Well, yeah, I'll put it. So here's the cool website. If you want to buy your own juice, you can buy here. But because we're talking about web pen testing, we actually don't care about juice right now. So in this case, we're going to do something called a SQL injection. Now, I personally am not super familiar with the SQL language, but there's a particular line that I'd like to show. Oh. So I have a specific one. So this might look a little funky, but I'll try to break it down a little bit for you guys. And it kind of goes back into what we were talking about before. So don't let this intimidate you, please. So I'm going to be blunt with you guys. This website is full of vulnerabilities. So if you are interested in web pen testing, this might be the good place to start. Other than other websites like Hack the Box, Try Hack Me, or just if you want, you can just this website is completely open source, so you can actually just download it and do your own web pen testing locally. But anyways, so in this case, we're gonna do a little query, but through the search bar. So I have a little string here that I'm gonna paste. So it's a little bit long. Honestly, a lot of this information you don't really need to know. What we do need to know is the start here where the actual query begins. A lot of this is just part of the HTML parsing, but here we do have some keywords from the SQL injection. We have the union, we have our select, and then here are some keywords specific to this website. In this attack, we're going to be looking for emails and passwords. When you actually do the attack, it might dump it as hashes, which we're going to need to find out later. We'll see later. And then here it's telling us we're taking it from the table of the users. And then you have the little 2 dashes to end off the query. So that way you don't have any other extraneous stuff in the way. Okay, that's not right. Try that one more time. Because it works. It's supposed to dump hashes. Okay, so it's not working right now, but I'm gonna try it one more time, see what happens. That's okay. So it's not what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to straight up just dump, like query out all of the usernames and their passwords. The passwords were going to be hashed. And with those hashed passwords, well, on this website, you could go to this website called CrackStation. That basically just takes your hash, which again, it's going to give us a list of hashes, which are basically just passwords that have been converted to a string specific to that password. So it's every hash is unique and specific to the specific password. So if I had something like that as my hash, it might try to crack it. It might not find anything right now because it's not a real hash, but it would give you the password for it from their database because a hash is a one-way function. So once the hash function is complete, you'll have your hash, but you can't derive anything from it unless you actually take the old password from a database and run it through the hash function and see if they're the same. So with that, you could go back here and once you have like a set of passwords and emails, you can just log in. And obviously there's like a whole bunch of other like things you can do on it. I think like this is meant to be the most vulnerable website, has a lot of stuff that you shouldn't be doing. But it's there for you guys. So this is probably a big resource. If not, try Hack Me or Hack the Box. Do you guys have any questions?
Talk about some resources. I mentioned try hacking box. There's also courseware, which we've done. This whole presentation is based off of, and there's also pen tester lab, and this is a website that has multiple labs with several different kinds of web application vulnerabilities, and each lab is a standalone instance of said vulnerability. And these labs are much more detailed and you'll be provided with great hands-on experience. And the third and most important resource is Swift. You can reach out to any one of us and attend workshops and look at our YouTube channel. There's our recordings there.
There we go. Oh.
Yes. There's the link tree.
or a link tree. You need resources, but also like, actually, one more thing about the lab that I was just talking about, and well, yeah, this is what she was just talking about, Pen Tester Plus. And maybe if you want to do something else, up to you really, because there's like an infinite amount of resources. But you know, if you do, you could also go to Try Hack Me. It actually does kind of, I mean, they all kind of do the same thing. But if you go here, it actually like virtualizes the website for you in some cases, and it just has it ready for you. You just kind of attack it. Kind of the same thing with Hack the Box. Like little boxes for you to attack not just websites, but also like individual like VMs for you. Of course, we have our tools. We have Portswigger, SQL Map. I could go on. Yeah, Google is honestly just the best thing for you.
Thank you, Rebecca, Jessica, and Ryan. Here's the slides. Okay, make sure you sign in if you haven't already. Then you want to learn more about web security, you can go on their resources and stuff like that. But we also have our previous YouTube videos that we did web hacking like a few years ago and last semester as well. So I guess this meeting today was just kind of like a refresher for the web hacking workshop that we did in fall. You can also look at our CBTC bootcamp videos from last summer. We covered a lot of web vulnerabilities and something similar to this, but a lot more in depth. So yeah, but besides that, thank you all for coming. Make sure you again sign in. Those numbers count, and yeah, hopefully you have a good Tuesday. Thank you, everyone.